Here is a question which is not from my talk or from our subject, but indirectly related to the Dhamma. And also we can find indirect connection to what I said. Can human soul become devas, deities? Is samsara only limited this earth realm, or does it occur in other realms? How many realms are there existing? Okay. You ask human soul, which we don't find. So no human soul can go to any place when it doesn't exist in the first place. Anyway, perhaps you want to ask, avoid using human soul, but ask the question, can human being become devas or deities and so on? Yes, human beings definitely can become devas. In metta recital we recite every day, this is called divinely living here. In the end of our metta recital, so we live this life, a divine life. So even in this life we can be divine being if we live according to that principle of practicing metta. After that, uttering appati vijjanto brahmaloka upagovati, Buddha said in the Metta and Sansa Sutta, in the discourse that explains the benefit of the practice of metta. If we do not attain enlightenment in this life, we will be human beings who practice metta, can appear in Brahma realm, highest realm. So, yes, it is possible. There are many realms. Human realms, animal realms, divine realms, and hell realms, and Brahma realms, and so forth. Many realms. I think that is enough for the realms question. And another question, so many questions. Okay. Okay. If Nibbana is the end of all experience, how does sati lead to the end of all experience? Okay. When you attain, by practicing sati, when you attain full enlightenment, then that is your Nibbana. Through the practice of mindfulness meditation, combined with concentration, you attain full enlightenment, and that is the end of all experiences, all experience. How does sati lead to the end of all experience? Only when you practice sati, combined with concentration. Sati means many things. We may translate into English in a simple term as mindfulness. With clear comprehension, with concentration, then you understand things exactly as they are. So you gain true realization of Nibbana, then all your experience ends. If you say you have some experience after Nibbana, then it is not Nibbana. Can one attain jhana while in standing or walking meditation? Well, one thing we must understand when we are, I don't think it is possible to attain jhanas while walking, because you have to be in a very still, quiet situation. When you walk, you move. Even when Venerable Ananda was walking, he was going to attain enlightenment. Then he was going to lie down, or sit down or lie down. Then he attained enlightenment. Perhaps as soon as he attained enlightenment, he lied down. So, attaining enlightenment occurs at the jhanic concentrated state of mind. Not full jhana, but jhanic quality concentration. So he was going to attain that, and he stopped his walking. But standing, it is possible. But one thing we must understand, when you attain jhana in standing position, unless you sit down, you may fall down. That is pretty dangerous. And therefore, when you are going to gain some concentration while standing, by all means I advise you to sit down, so that you remain steady and jhana will not send you to hospital. Please define, explain mind, or exalted mind, then immeasurable mind, unsurpassed mind. Okay. This is in Satipatthana Sutta, mindfulness of the mind, consciousness. Mahaggatam chittam pajanati, and so anuttaram chittam pajanati, and so on. Exalted mind is a state of mind which is not ordinary state of mind. To explain it exactly as it is difficult at this point, because when the mind is exalted or in a very extraordinary state of mind, you are not in ordinary level. Immeasurable mind is there is no limit to your awareness. Your awareness of almost infinity. Unsurpassed mind is just an ordinary state of mind. It is supposed to exalted mind. Is desire wholesome? There is a wholesome desire as well as unwholesome desire. Wholesome desire is desire to be desireless. Unwholesome desire is desire to perpetuate desire. So, yes, there is wholesome desire. For instance, your desire to attain liberation is a desire to get rid of your desire. And desire to go to heaven is not very wholesome, because you will come back to this life again and start everything from zero all over again. That is not very desirable. Next question. Can you please explain in more detail dependent origination? However, whoever wrote this question is very interested in knowing dependent origination. Friend, even if I spend the entire time of this retreat, I may talk about it. I can talk on dependent origination. I will not be able to explain it in a way that you all can understand it clearly, because it is a very profound subject. I can go through the list which we have memorized. Say, for instance, number one, I will only mention number one. Ignorance. Depending on ignorance arises volitional formations. Do you understand that? Then what is ignorance? Ignorance is not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Is ignorance. It's called avidya in Pali. When Buddha knew the Four Noble Truths perfectly well in 12 aspects and 3 aspects and 12 phases, as we mentioned today, the truth as it is, function of the truth, and truth, the function has been completed. These are the three factors, 3 aspects, and 4 divided by 3 we get 12. That's called 12 phases. When he understood this in this way, realized this way, practiced the Noble Eightfold Path, and he attained full enlightenment, then his avidya disappeared, vidya arose. Vidya udapadi, he said. Vidya means knowledge, not even deeper than knowledge, realization. as soon as he got rid of his ignorance, wisdom arose, knowledge arose. So, until such time, ignorance will persistently exist in our existence. So long as ignorance exists, we keep committing all kind of verbal, mental and physical activities. Verbal, physical, mental activities, verbal, physical, volitional activities are called sankhara. So we keep committing them. Now, this is principle number one. Dependent upon ignorance, volitional formations arises. Volitional formations in this life, from the time we started talking, walking and thinking, we commit volitional formations. There is no way to measure the amount of volitional formations we have committed so far already. And we continue to commit them. And therefore, we are very comfortably preparing for our next phase, next stage. From the volitional formations arise consciousness. Consciousness normally begins at the beginning of our life, then it multiplies into through six senses, and it also has no limit. As you mentioned there, exalted consciousness, limited consciousness, unlimited consciousness, and so on and so forth. So many phases of consciousness arise dependent on volitional formations. And depending on the consciousness arises mentality and materiality. Mentality means feeling, perception, thought, contact, feeling, perception, thought and attention. These five together called mentality. Arise because of the consciousness. And materiality is four aggregates, four elements, and they are derivatives. Find essence. They call upadana, rupa, and so on. And depending on depending on feeling, what you call mentality and materiality arises sixfold base. Sixfold base are eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. These are the bases. And depending on sixfold base arise contact. And depending on six kind of contact. Contact through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. Depending on contact arises feeling. Feeling also six kinds. Feeling arising through the eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact and so on. And then, depending on feeling, desire arises. Craving. Depending on craving arises clinging, holding, grasping. Grasping to body, grasping to feeling, perception, thought and volitional formations and consciousness. This is called grasping. When we grasp, then becoming, or clinging, becoming, bhava. I said bhava, becoming is becoming as what you call in sensual plane and find material form, realms, and immaterial realms, becoming. And when becoming arises, birth arises, depending on becoming. Depending on birth, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair arises. That's what we mentioned earlier. And that is, in summary, the teaching of dependent origination. But do you understand it? You understand these words, but how they occur, how they happen, is another realm of discussion. Okay, next question. Seeing suffering in every aspect of life, even the things my friends and others find joy in, has me craving non-existence. What do I do? Now, seeing suffering in every aspect of life, has me craving non-existence. I think if you have craving for non-existence, that is not a conducive or wholesome craving. You should be able to get rid of your craving. When you see suffering, you must ask yourself, why is there suffering? Why is there suffering? Suffering is there because of craving. And you say when you see suffering, you have a craving for non-existence. That is another cause of suffering, another way of suffering. So when you see suffering, you look at yourself. Why you experience suffering? Because you don't want to see what is happening out there. And that desire not to see what is happening out there is a craving, desire. So long as you have craving, you have suffering. When others have craving, they have suffering. So what you try to, and you should do is try to get rid of your own craving. You cannot get rid of your craving without getting rid of your ignorance. Because craving and ignorance are buddies. They all come together. So when you try to get rid of one, other also must go along with that. So try to get rid of your ignorance and craving. To get rid of your craving, you must get rid of your ignorance. To get rid of your ignorance, you must get rid of your craving. So it is not a winning situation. So you have to work very hard in the practice of mindfulness to see the relationship between these two. Then you can get rid of your craving for any kind of existence. Non-existence is in fact called Bhavana. That is another craving. Not the craving for non-existence is another craving. There are three kinds of craving: Kama tanha, Bhava tanha, Vibhava tanha. Craving for existence in sensual planes, craving for existence in samsara, continuation, or craving for sensual pleasure in this life, craving for sensual pleasure in existence in samsara, that is bhavatanha, and craving for non-existence, that comes out of frustration. You are so frustrated you feel that you don't want to exist anymore. That is another kind of craving. If there is no self, what or who reincarnates, please reconcile these two teachings. Okay. You use the word reincarnation. Some people have a problem with this reincarnation. Getting into flesh. Anyway, we use the word rebecoming or rebirth. And your question is, how, if there is no self, what or who reincarnates? It is no what or who reincarnates. This is another example of dependent origination. You ask me to explain dependent origination, you can see how far it can go. Even this so-called rebirth or reincarnation takes place according to the law of dependent origination. That is, not some entity going from one life to another. There, of course, is a belief in some religious tradition that is like a little, what do you call this, ball. You put it into a container, maybe a glass. When the glass breaks, this ball goes to a cup. When the cup breaks, it goes to a pot. When it breaks, it goes to jug. When it breaks, it goes to a barrel. Like that, this particular object, a ball or crystal or something, keeps moving from object to object and exists there. That kind of belief is called reincarnation. But in Buddhism, because of the things that we commit in this life, because of dependent origination, we commit all kind of volitional formations, karma. Volitional formations are karmas. Karma means activities, thoughts, words, deeds committed intentionally by somebody whose mind is not free from greed, hatred and delusion is called karma. It can be wholesome, unwholesome, imperturbable and so on. And because of this karma package and greed, ignorance, now we have desire, ignorance and this karma package. There comes into existence a being or form as a reproduction of this package, karma, ignorance and desire. It is when something dies, from it arises something else. From the dying state, something arises. That is called rebirth. It is 100% total transformation of one life into another. Transformation is called rebirth, or you may like to call reincarnation, whatever. Then therefore not something in a complete, perfect package, intact, going from here to there. Not something intact, as a whole package, going from one life to another. But one state complete transform into another state. If there is something called self or soul or something permanent, eternal inside, it can never become transformed into another. It will remain the same. A thief in this life will be born as a thief. Murderer in this life will be born as a murderer. And so forth. Therefore we have to understand this happens particularly, especially according to the law of dependent origination. Dependent on what we are doing here, something else arises. For instance, we say, dependent on ignorance, volitional formations arises. Ignorance and volitional formations are not identical. Ignorance and volitional formations are not identical. But the volitional formations has the seed or potential of ignorance. Otherwise, volitional formations will not take place. We say, depending on contact, arises feeling. Contact and feelings are not identical. Contact is one thing, feeling is another. But depending on contact, feeling arises. It is exactly like that, depending on this life, something else arises. That also has some impact or influence of what we do here. And therefore this is not a very simple concept to explain. We have to understand dependent origination very well to understand this situation. Can a layperson realize suffering? Surely laypersons are very good individuals to realize suffering. You think only monastic realize? Even monastic don't realize it very well. Now, any lay person very honestly, sincerely practice meditation, mindfulness and concentration, they definitely realize, not just mere understanding, not collecting information on the suffering, but they really realize suffering. Surely. So don't worry, you will realize one day. If we have committed wrong, unwholesome actions in our life, but now recognize it, how should we proceed? Did the Buddha have any encouragement to overcoming unwholesome actions? To overcome unwholesome actions, recognizing it is a very good thing, but do more and more wholesome actions, wholesome thoughts, words and deeds, and keep thinking of wholesome thoughts, words and deeds. If you commit an unwholesome action one time and keep thinking about it again over and over and over and day and night, and even in sleep and dream, if you keep thinking, only of that unwholesome action, that becomes a habit, and that becomes a dominating mental state, dominating mental factor. And you will be totally, completely merged with this thought. But if you have committed unwholesome action, and then realize it, recognize it, understand it, and then commit wholesome actions, and keep thinking of the wholesome actions you have committed. Keep thinking and thinking, day and night, I have done such and such a wonderful wholesome action. It is very peaceful, very noble. You keep thinking about it. Charge your mind, condition your mind to thinking of your wholesome action. Keep thinking, day and night, every day, in any posture, even when you go to bed. Keep thinking of the wholesome action. Then that becomes the dominating mental state. Very powerful mental state. So, Buddha said, Punyanche Purusho Kaira, Kaira Tenam Punapunam, Tammi Chandam Kairata Sukho Punyasa Uchayo. When you have done something wholesome, do it again and again. If you cannot do it, keep thinking about it. Keep thinking of your wholesome deed. It is our mind that makes our life happy or miserable. It is 100% true. Our mind makes us happy or unhappy. So keep drilling the wholesome thing into the mind and keep thinking about it again and again. Even one wholesome action, you meditate every day, 10 minutes every day, 20 minutes every day. Sometimes you cannot meditate. Then you think, oh, I could not meditate now, but I have done meditation before. I have been meditating. That time my mind was very clear, clean. That's a very good thing. You keep thinking. Even in dream you will meditate. You will experience that meditation in the dream. So you feel very, very happy. That is the Buddha's advice. Sir, I am confused. Today you said the Buddha sat in meditation for 6 years thinking about the Noble Eightfold Path. I was taught that meditation is not thinking, but instead following the breath. Can you clarify this? In your book you also say that when lured, for example, you should meditate on boredom. I'm sorry. When bored, When bored, for example, you should meditate on boredom. Isn't this another example of thinking while sitting? Friends, I think I have mentioned this many times in my talks. Thinking is another meditation. There is a discourse in Majjhima Nikaya. I ask you to read that. That's called Dvedha Vitakka Sutta. Dvedha Vitakka Sutta. And Buddha said when he was a bodhisattva before attaining enlightenment, he put all his thought into two categories. Wholesome category and unwholesome category. When unwholesome thought arose in the mind, for instance, greed, hatred, jealousy, fear, rivalry, conceit and egotism and snobbish feeling and, punching somebody in his nose and things like that. Unwholesome thought arose in your mind. Put all of them on unwholesome category. Then if you have a thought of friendliness, compassion, helping, supporting, doing some service, hospice help, and helping animals, people who are feeble, weak, feeding the poor, and so forth. If these thoughts arise in your mind, put all of them on the wholesome category. That's what the Buddha did. And then he thought, when one of these unwholesome thoughts arose in your mind, you think, this thought hurts me, makes me unhappy, makes me restless, arise in me fear. This thought can build up tension. This thought can make me anxious, and so forth. Therefore, they are unwholesome. I don't want them. Put them in this bag, in this unwholesome file. And another thought arose, I want to help someone. That person will be very happy. Seeing that person happy, I am very comfortable. I am very happy. So let me help. The more I help, more happier I will be. Put them in that category and keep cultivating. This is a meditation and Buddha practice. This is, I call it thinking meditation. Cultivating thoughts. I said in the Noble Eightfold Path, this entire Noble Eightfold Path is a practice. There is the practice of right speech, right action, right living. All these are practice. Practice. Not just sitting in one place and thinking. Thinking is one thing, action is another. All these are practice. All this we build a habit. So we think always, habitually we think wholesome thoughts. Normally we are so good in thinking bad, habitually thinking bad things. We are very good in that. We have to change that, to think wholesome things habitually. That's a meditation. Another meditation is just focusing mind on one thing personal to us, not on a rock or table or chair or the pillar or cement or not something like that. Something totally personal to us, like our body is our own. Although we don't own the body, it is there, we live in it. There is no owner of this body. If there is an owner should be able to control it in any way, pushing this button here, pushing that button, and so on. It doesn't happen. Anyway, conventionally we say this body is ours. We focus our mind on that and see what is happening to the body. And there we don't need words, because we experience them. Experience our feelings, our thoughts, and so on. This is another meditation. The other meditation is focusing mind on our another something like the breath, to gain concentration. There we don't use words. So there are meditation where we use words. There is a meditation where we don't use words. Okay? Another question. If feeling is pleasant, unpleasant or neutral, and perception is the personalized label the mind puts on things to describe what it is, we see, smell, taste, touch and think, then what is volitional formations? Okay. Perception is recognizing. When we see light, we recognize it. We cognize. If we see it second, third time, we recognize it. But we don't have to put a label. We just pass it, recognize it, and pass it. If we try to put a label, we have to stop. Then the flow will not continue. Volitional formations is deliberate thinking. Deliberate thinking. In that deliberate thinking, greed can involve, hatred can involve, and ignorance can involve in deliberate thinking. And therefore it is called volitional formations. Volitional formations can be wholesome or unwholesome. Mostly unwholesome volitional formations arise. Deliberately, mindfully we can make volitional formations wholesome. So the difference between perception and volitional formations is, perception is just recognizing or recognition. Volitional formation is deliberate thinking. In recognition, there is no greed, hatred and delusion involved. In perception, of course we can include that if we want, but we don't want to. We don't have to use greed, hatred and delusion for recognition. But volitional formations definitely can arise because of sometimes greed is there, ignorance is there, or anger, hatred is there. Volitional formations I mentioned earlier in explaining dependent origination arises due to or dependent on ignorance. The first two steps of the dependent origination. Depending on ignorance arise volitional formation. When we say depending on ignorance, we also have to assume hatred is there and greed is there. Greed definitely is there. That is why in the first sermon, Buddha said the cause of suffering is greed. In dependent origination, he said cause of suffering is ignorance. So he gave equal weight to both greed and ignorance. And both of them are there. We don't have a history of ignorance or history of greed. To say that ignorance started at such and such a point in time, at the time of Big Bang, or hatred or desire started at such and such a point, before that there was no greed, we cannot say that. And therefore, they are there. And because of that, volitional formations arise and so forth, and so on, all the rest of the things arise. Next question. I have seen the Four Noble Truths translated as the Four Truths of the Noble One. Can this be correct or is it incorrect? Or irrelevant? Okay. The Four Truths of the Noble Ones. I think that is not correct, because when you say Four Truths of the Noble One, you attribute these truths to noble ones. And ignoble ones don't have these truths. Therefore, in order to make it universal, we must say Four Noble Truths. not noble one's truths. That's totally wrong. As I said, these four are noble not because noble one introduced it. Whether the Buddhas come into existence or not, suffering exists. Doesn't it? Whether the Buddhas come into existence or not, impermanence exists. Long before Buddha came into this world, he came only 2,600 years ago. What happened to the people before that? Were they free from suffering? No. From time immemorial, so long as beings exist here in the universe, not only in this world, in the universe, anywhere. Wherever being exists, suffering exists there. And therefore it must be universal truth. And these four are called noble because they are undeniable, irrefutable, undebatable truth. You cannot negotiate with this. It is there. Is the Buddha both historical person and a supreme being, a god? If not, can a person be Buddhist and believe in a higher power, a god, for instance? Okay. The Buddha, both historical and supreme being, I stop there. Don't go to the next word. Next word is a god. No. Somebody asked the Buddha whether he was a god. He said no. And whether he asked, are you human? He said no. Then who are you? He said, I am Buddha. So, Buddha was a Buddha. If you were to call him human, he is extraordinary human being or human perfected or perfect human being. But there's no way that we can attribute godship to him. So next question next part I don't have to say anything about. Can a person be Buddhist and believe in a higher power, a God? One can be a Buddhist and he may still believe in whatever he wants to believe. Among Buddhists, there are many Buddhists who believe in various type of things. That is their, what you call privilege. They are independent, they are freedom. They can believe anything they want. But if somebody were to be true, real Buddhist, he would give up all these other beliefs. In other words, when he becomes a Buddhist, real Buddhist, all other beliefs will simply fade away, disappear from his mind. That person doesn't have to do anything about it. That they will simply evaporate from his mind. In the true Buddhist mind, all other beliefs will simply evaporate. They don't fight against them. They don't take weapons against them. But as understanding increases, realization increases, all other things are decreased and vanish from his mind. Until such time, even a Buddhist may have all other beliefs. Buddhists have so many beliefs, that is why we have so many rituals among Buddhists. In Buddhist countries, if you go to any traditional Buddhist country, you will really be shocked to see the amount of rituals, beliefs they have. So they are entitled to have anything in their mind until they, and this also is not a sort of Buddhist monks going out and shouting, using their fist and saying, "You go to hell if you don't do this." No. This, whatever other beliefs they have in their mind, naturally fade away. Even the Buddha would not do that. Buddha would not force people, "You must do this, otherwise I send you to hell." Never do that. So, I think that is enough for today's Dhamma discussion. And keep writing in this good handwriting. So I try to answer your questions. Okay.